Hello, and welcome to the GI Nutrition Show. I'm Amy McCrea, registered dietitian and CEO of Grounded Root Nutrition. Today's topic is the weight loss connection. So it's very common for patients to come to me, and one of their goals eventually is weight loss. And sometimes they come to me and that is the number one goal that they have. And we have a broader discussion. And one of the things that I find is before we can even begin to lose weight, we need to dig deep into the why it's there to begin with. And this goes well beyond eating and calories in and calories out. That principle is very, very well known, as is building a balanced plate. These are all really, really good things, but they're only a small part of the equation. So instead, what I'm going to challenge you to think about is how can we dive deep and what exactly does this testing that I encourage my patients to do, what kind of information does it actually give us to eventually lead them down the successful weight loss path? And let's start with the Nutrogenomix test. It's my favorite. I love this test because it really gives us an idea of the cards you are dealt. And when we have genetic variations, we call them SNPs, and you might see this abbreviated as SNPs. So when you hear me say SNPs, that is what I am referring to. And when it comes to Nutrogenomix, we're looking at, first of all, how do you handle energy? So what is your body's predisposition? How much energy do you need to do nothing? I want to know that. And then how readily can you tap into those fat stores? I want to know that information. And I also want to know how prone you are to storing fat. These are incredible nuggets of knowledge that we really can utilize to put together a story that is you. And if we look deep into you, we're going to get a lot of answers. So some of the other things that it's going to look at is receptors for your hunger and satiety cues. So how well is your body able to sense when you are full and when you are hungry? And then beyond that is, do you have any of the genes that are what we call rabble rousers? And they actually scramble those signals and they might reverse them. So it's going to make you think you're hungry when you're actually full. And what are some of the behavior changes that we can put into place that help our genes react how they're supposed to? Those are some of the things that we're going to look at. Another really big one that I like to look at is your clock gene. So your clock gene is what regulates your circadian rhythm. And that gene also heavily is tied to hunger and satiety. Because as we very well know, if you are sleep deprived, you're going to be more hungry. Your body wants more energy, more fuel to keep things going. While we don't want you to always be sleep deprived, we want you to make sure you're getting enough sleep. But even with enough sleep, this gene can make you think once it's dark outside that you're hungry. So wouldn't it be helpful to know if you have that gene and figure out ways around it? And just having that awareness is so empowering for so many of my patients. Then we're also going to look at genes and how your body responds to the intake of fat. So are there adjustments that need to be made to help your body process optimally, as well as what's your sensitivity level to stress? Because stress can really drive some incredible levels of inflammation in the body. And if you know how you're built, then you have the opportunity to change those patterns even more. Additionally, we're going to look at insulin sensitivity. And I want to know, does yours work normal? Is it challenged? Is there a delay there? Again, we need to find a food plan that is unique to you and the cards that you were dealt. We want it to support your body in the best way possible. So that's Nutrogenomix. And then I'm also going to look at stool testing. And you might be like, what, Amy? You're going to look at stool testing for weight loss? Yes, I 100% am. And the reason being is the bacteria in your gut make histamines that drive inflammation. It triggers the defense cells, creates not only pain, and pain drives inflammation. So we get all of that. And then some of these bacteria contain something called a lipopolysaccharide. It's abbreviated as LPS. It is an endotoxic component within the cell. and it causes weight loss resistance. These toxins truly, they get released into the bloodstream. It can cause lesions in our gut, and then in fat-rich diets that also can stimulate the release of these LPSs. So we really want to know, what are the cards you've been dealt in the gut space as well? Not only Nutrogenomix in your genes, that we can't really change those cards that you were dealt, but with the gut stuff, we have a lot of opportunity to change the microbiome that's in there, give it more support. But all of these things lead to inflammation. When you have inflammation, you get weight loss, resistance, and possibly even weight gain. So you can see that connection. And then last week, I did a really deep dive into food sensitivity testing. If you haven't had an opportunity to listen to the podcast from last week, I would highly recommend it. But what I talked about was LEAP testing, and LEAP testing is the type of food sensitivity testing that I utilize in my practice. It is immune regulated, and it causes inflammation in the body. And if you listened a few seconds ago, what did I say? Inflammation in the body leads to weight gain. So I'm sure you've heard about starting a diet, and those first few days you lose tons of weight, and people refer to it as water weight. Water weight is a real thing. And that is what happens when our cells swell and then they shrink and they let all of that excess water go. And you do experience a little bit of this when you begin the LEAP protocol. As that inflammation comes down, you might lose some weight. And that initial weight loss is not necessarily what we're going for, but it is a secondary side effect of really getting inflammation under control. So it's a really nice side effect for many of my patients, and they certainly appreciate it. So when we take those foods out, we're going to just calm the immune system down. So as you can see, I use a combination of all of these tests, the Nutrogenomix, the stool, as well as the food sensitivity test. Some patients, we also do hormone testing, or we might also do organic acid urine testing. That also gives us additional insight as to what is going on deep down. I love the gene aspect of it because it truly does help us understand at a very base level how your body is built. If we know how your body is built, then we have the opportunity to make changes that are very, very personalized and customized to you. So weight loss is never the first goal for any of my patients that come to me. You might say it is, but it is not one that I will ever prioritize and put first. We've got to work on stress levels. We've got to work on rebuilding your gut. We've got to make sure that there's not anything toxic in there, and we've got to calm the immune system down. Those are some of the first things that we do in order to enable successful weight loss. And not only successful in the short term, but it's also really important in the long term. And I'm sure you've heard all kinds of stories about making sure it is sustainable weight loss. And that is a huge, huge big thing for me. If you end up putting all the weight back on in a year, then we didn't do our job together. We want to make sure you have successful lifestyle changes, that you have the tools in your toolbox, but not only that, that we have dug deep and we know what was causing the inflammation and the weight gain to begin with. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. Please visit my website at groundedrootnutrition.com to learn more about how I can become a partner in your health journey. I'll encourage you to schedule a free complimentary GI health strategy session that would allow us to talk. I can understand your situation, make sure that we are a good match, and then we can begin the process of you becoming one of my patients. You can also contact me directly at hello@groundedrootnutrition.com. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon.